but you'll never find another like me. Got nothing in my brain. That's what people say. 'Cause baby, now we got bad blood.
They're some of the most iconic songs of the past decade that some of the most iconic people have spent years and years dancing to. But the face and the voice and the hair behind these gems isn't actually the same person who owns the songs. Really. It's actually this guy, Scooter Braun. He recently paid $300 million to buy Big Machine Label Group, which owns the rights to Taylor Swift's first 6 albums. The two aren't exactly friends. Tay-Tay doesn't like that her old songs are owned by someone else and has just announced she's going to re-record them.
My contract says that starting November 2020, so next year, I can record albums 1 through 5 all over again. So it's next year. It's right around the corner. I'm going to be busy. I'm really excited.
It might seem a little crazy that you can be the one to write and perform a song and it not belong to you, but it happens all the time. That's good, Matt. You just want to give us a voice level? Okay, we're good. See, it's not enough just to write an epic song. You also have to get people to hear it. And that can be tricky if you're not as famous as me. And that's where music labels come in. They'll often shell out to record and produce a song and spend more money on advertising and making sure it gets played. Every time that happens, everyone involved gets paid royalties. The label gets a bit, and so do the songwriters that wrote it and the artists that recorded it. But it's often the label that owns the recording itself and gets to decide how and when the song is used.
I know that I'm a handful, baby.
While Tay-Tay's albums have made everyone, including her, a lot of money, she doesn't think it's right that she doesn't own her own songs.
I think that artists deserve to own their work. I just feel very passionately about that.
A bunch of very famous artists have been in this exact situation, and some have even spent millions and millions of dollars buying back or negotiating the rights to their music, including the likes of Rihanna and Jay-Z. Taylor Swift has publicly said she's unhappy she didn't get the same chance. Her solution? Re-recording her hits. Basically, she'd be covering her own songs, as the world's most convincing Taylor Swift cover band. And yes, just like anyone else, she'd have to pay herself and the other songwriters royalties. But she says it's not about the money, it's about making sure artists are treated fairly, even if it means the soundtrack to this gets a bit of a shaker.